I see a lot of people living their lives, but not necessarily enjoying their lives because they aren't conscious in the sense they haven't stepped out of themselves and realized time is precious. Every second, every week, every year, not in the overarching sense that you feel like you should have to seize the day every day and live life to the fullest at all times. That should be the theme of your life and existence, because you need days of challenge where you have failure. You need, so you can build your character stronger. You need, I'm talking like it's RPG now. You need rest days where you do nothing, truly do nothing, and you're just with your own thoughts. 10 years ago, I was 20, well, I was actually 19, but for the sake of argument, nearly a decade ago, at the age of 20, 21, I was starting my life. I was starting adulthood. And of course, you can say adulthood and adult challenges and themes start when you're in adolescence, but I felt like my life was opening, blossoming, and I was starting to walk a path at 2021. I was starting to pay rent. I had a first serious, I'm talking like serious relationship, which is a little different from the childhood sweetheart relationship or just somebody you want to date for a week or whatever. It's different, and it's that time that almost 10 years has gone so fast for me. It's just been going like this, but it also feels like a lot's happened, which I am grateful for. If you are a conscious person who is very aware of history, because history helps you put your life and your time into perspective, if you are aware of that, it's very helpful. If you read the sciences and you understand how physics and how chemistry and how things work and why we're here, that is also very helpful to letting you enjoy your life. Because I feel when I look out that the man and woman on the street, they're conscious to a degree, but they're just going through the motions. And you hear all the time how time has passed people that by. I think that's two things. I think you have to divide life into two areas: yourself and the world. Because the world is like a carousel. It's just a big circle. You get, if we talk about an analogy of film, you get a blockbuster film, and then counterculture hits, and then you get the indie film. And the indie film perhaps goes to the top, everybody's interested in that because it's cool, and then the blockbuster knocks it off, and it's just a big circle. One decade is left agenda, one decade it's right agenda. It's predominantly the ones what are dominating. And that carousel will keep turning without you, and it has nothing to do with you. You have a very small token in that race, and you hope that when you add your token, that everybody else will add a similar token, thus improving the world. But you can't rely on that. Usually the world's improved in areas away from flocks of people. That's what I believe. So that's one side of time, this carousel of life, what's going around, and it's doing its own thing. And then there's you, and you have to separate yourself from that, and you have to feed this vessel, i.e. you have to make sure you're healthy, you're exercising, your mind's sharp, you are doing things what you enjoy. And of course, when we're met with opposition and we can't do the things we enjoy, we become very depressed. And if you are conscious, and this is something what I kind of laugh about now, it can also make you teary-eyed, that you realize that every challenge you face has kind of led you in a positive direction, and in the bigger scheme of everything, it is just a flat, the positives, you think the positives are up here and the negatives are here, but if you look back on time, it's all just flat. It's all just moments and memories, and I find that quite incredible. Some of the worst things that have ever happened to me at the time, what I felt were truly things that were going to cripple and destroy my life for good, have been things what have led me on to brighter paths. And that's not luck, that is perspective, and that is understanding how the carousel and how yourself works. I've lost property I've been invested in and bought through flooding, and insurance hasn't paid out, and I felt like the world has kicked me between the legs. I felt like, this is the worst thing possible. But in having that happen to me, it put me in a place where I could rest and have and overcome anxiety, and it's actually put me in a place where I can travel. If I was still paying for that property, I would no longer be able to travel now. And I love traveling. I was being back to maybe traveling once a year, if that. And now I can travel quite a lot because I have more time, more resources. And in the traveling, it's given me a new life, and I've conquered parts of my anxiety. And that is life. That challenge thing happened to me. It was awful, and then it's led me on to something wonderful. And then in the wonderful, I'm sure something challenging will happen. But you have to not kind of look at life as a boxing match where maybe you win one round, you lose another round. You just have to look at it as truly that every second is life. Not that you have to seize it. When I talk to people what are older than me, I say, oh, I've lived through so much and I feel so old. They're maybe 20, 30 years older than me. They say, what are you talking about? Like you got so much to live for, you got so much to do, and it's true. But if you are conscious enough to step out, you can see yourself at 60 or 50. You can see parts of your future. It's almost ironic. You're in that situation. It's like you're getting married. Oh, I'm here now. Or you've been dumped. There's something quite thrilling about being dumped, like being thrown back on the rocks and you kind of got to start again. There's something quite nice about it. And that's time. And that is why, when you look back at your past phases, and it should bring a smile to your face. I was like this at this age, now I'm like this now, and you can really see yourself grow. You can you hit that age where you are grown without trying to grow. So yeah, I hope that's been helpful. It's something what I think often about, and I try to not let nostalgia cripple me. It's a bit like Cinema Paradiso, like you don't really go back because the past is gone now and it's time to live the future. But you have to enjoy and feel content with the idea that it is precious time. So if you are in a depressed mood, get that perspective and see where you stand in the world. Okay, enjoy yourselves, have a good week. Thanks for watching. Ciao.